Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Art of MMA. I'm your host, Mike Ginn. Joined as always, I'm talking about professional kickboxer. I'm talking about the mechanic, Brandon Catino. Brandon, what's up, buddy?
It's Tuesday. You know what that means.
You didn't say it. I swore you would be the cheesy one to say, may the 4th be with you.
Nah, please, man. I'm good on that life, man. No thanks.
Well, I don't want to offend the people at home. Happy Star Wars Day. I'm not going to be Brandon. Welcome to the show, people. Thank you so much for joining us once again. A couple things to get out of the way before we hop right into the news. First and foremost, artofmma.com/shop. Support the show. Obviously, this is free, and we do the best we can for you. So, go over there. Some dope merchandise. Everything goes straight to us. So support the show. And the promo code this week is right above me. It's going to be Giga Time in honor of Brandon's boy, Giga Chikese, who got the knockout finish over Cub last weekend. So promo code Giga Time will save you 20% this week only. And then Brandon, this is our last Tuesday. You got to mix up your intro next week. Starting next week on the 12th, we will be moving to Wednesdays. We'll be right in the middle of the week, be able to get you all the action from the weekend, everything coming up for the next weekend. So we will be going on Wednesdays starting next week, which is kind of ironic, Brandon, because I think this is our 30th episode. So we'll be starting 31 and up on so 30 episodes on a Tuesday, starting probably the next 1,000 on a Wednesday. We'll see how that goes until Brandon wants to move the date again. It's all his fault. All right, Brandon, you ready to get started, man?
Yes, sir.
All right. First and foremost, I think the biggest news story coming out this week in MMA, Diego Sanchez and Cowboy Cerrone. We've been looking forward to it. It's a fight that I had even talked about all the way after Diego lost his last fight. I was like, well, maybe him and Cowboy should just have a retirement fight. They set it up, funny enough. They do have a little bit of bad blood going back from their Jackson days, and I guess Cowboy leaving the gym and then Diego leaving the gym, and it just became a mess. And then I'll give people the cliff notes so I won't bore you to death. Diego's management, who Rashad Evans is begging for him to get away from, but Josh Fabia calls Hunter Campbell, UFC exec, and was like, we want to get Diego's medical records. And that instantly put up a red flag. They're like, why? And they're like, well, he's taking a lot of punishment during his career. We want to know how to approach things post-career. And, of course, UFC's thinking, okay, you're going to get ready to sue us because we let you keep fighting, right? So instantly they're like, well, if you're questioning your medical and you're questioning the amount of damage you take in career, then at this point you're a risk to us in the cage because we think you're not healthy to fight. So not only did they cancel the fight, they released Diego. Now, they did pay him his show and his win bonus money. So he got over $200,000 not to fight. I think the best way to kind of look at this is like he said type thing, because Diego and them are like, look, we just want my medical records for my post-UFC life so I know how to approach life after the UFC. And UFC's kind of being shady because they don't want to release that kind of stuff because it does set them up for any kind of liability. But on the other hand, if you are the UFC, right, and a fighter comes to you and says, I'm not healthy, I've taken a lot of damage during my career, let me look at my records, that does send up a red flag, right, Brandon? What do you think about this whole situation?
Yeah, man. I mean, I just know his whole thing with his coach, the Fabia guy, man. Like to me, sometimes I feel like that guy can be trouble. But I know a lot of people, they try to throw hate his way, shade his way. But I mean, hey, if a fighter wants their medical records, I don't know why you can't give it to them. Like, it is their medical records, so they should have them. Like, to me, it's like you should always have a copy of your medical records. It's like when I go get my medicals, I send it to the to the athletic commission. But also too, I know my doctor, he keeps a copy of it for himself as well. So that way he can have it, or if I ever need something from him again, I can just say, oh, hey, remember that thing? Can I just get that again? So I mean, yeah, you're right, man. Like the UFC is a little bit shady about that. It's like, yo, it's his medical records. He should be able to see his own medical records.
I feel like if he definitely subpoenas, they have to give it to him. But I do see why they would cancel the fight, because if you're sitting there questioning the amount of damage you took because you're having some kind of issues, I'm not going to let you in my cage. I'm not gonna be like, if you're not healthy, okay, cool. Thank you for everything you've done. This was gonna be his last fight anyway. Win or lose, this is the last fight. So they gave him his money. He just didn't get to go out on a blaze of glory against Cowboy. Because I don't think there was much questioning in my mind anyway. Maybe you think differently, but I didn't have any question that Cowboy was going to smoke him. And Cowboy is not definitely in the prime of his career anymore, but I think he's still a lot more wherewithal and a lot more with it, because I think I've been saying for the last 10 Diego Sanchez fights, maybe longer, that Diego looked punch drunk, that he looked like he shouldn't be in that cage. And he's pulled off a couple wins, so people are like, wait, what? But I think it's definitely best for Diego to kind of move on to the next chapter of his life. I do hope he has a healthy afterlife, but I see things from both sides. I think the UFC is being very shady and not giving him his records because they don't want to be set up for a lawsuit, which means to me, I think they've known for a while he shouldn't be in that cage. I think the problem is that he now knows, which if he knows he shouldn't be in that cage, then he's setting himself up to go out there and get hurt. Because if you don't believe you can go out and win, then you shouldn't be in that cage. And I don't care if it's a kickboxing ring or a UFC cage. Brady, first and foremost, if you're worried you're going to get hurt in that fight, you're going to get hurt. So, anything else you want to add on that story?
I mean, hey, just best wishes to Diego Sanchez and whatever happens to him next.
Yeah, thank you, man. That dude's put on wars for us, wars. So thank you, Diego. If he does choose to continue to fight after this, that's on him. Anderson Silva is going to do like a boxing thing. We see people like Yoel Romero go over to Bellator. So we'll see. And speaking of Yoel Romero, funny enough, that was actually an accidental segue. Yoel is out this week. We were all looking forward to Rumble versus Romero. Unfortunately, Romero can't clear medicals. They pushed the fight back, I think, due to visa issues. I don't even think it was due to medicals. Yeah. And then the medicals got declined. So he didn't pass it. He's out of the fight. He's also out of the Grand Prix. All in all, and I forgot to mention Cowboy will be fighting this weekend still, but he's fighting Alex Morono now. But back to this story, it's been kind of crazy. Like, it went from the fight's off, and then he couldn't get clearance. Now he's out of the Grand Prix, which means Scott Coker and them don't think he can get cleared anytime soon. Rumble, for his part, has a new opponent. He's going to be fighting Barros or something like it's a long name. Where did I write it down? He's going to be fighting Jose Augusto Azevedo Barros instead of Rumble this weekend. I guess Azevedo Barros is now into the tournament in his place. I guess if he wins, he moves on. Unfortunately, I think he's just feeder for Rumble. Rumble's probably going to run right through him to move on to the next round. They just didn't want to give Rumble a bye. At 43 years old, Brandon, though, does that throw up some kind of red flags for Romero as well? Like, can he get medically cleared at this point? What do you think?
I mean, the thing is, like, we don't know what it is that he didn't pass.
That's true. They haven't released it.
It could have been that just maybe he could have got injured during training and he tried to still go through with it, but they didn't pass him on the injury. Or maybe it could have been something more serious. We just don't know yet, unless they come out with it.
Yeah, they haven't really released much information on it other than to announce the changes. Scott's been, unusually quiet on that. He's usually really out, media friendly, so on and so forth, and kind of telling people what's going on. He has not really said anything. So hopefully, Romero can get healthy and get back in the cage and give us that fight that we wanted, because everybody's disappointed. Rumble's disappointed. Everybody's disappointed that we didn't get that Rumble-Romero matchup that we were all looking forward to. So, in other news, on that card, Carvalho will return on short notice. He's facing Lorenzo Larkin. Larkin's opponent dropped out. Carvalho will be on UFC or Bellator 258. And then also Albert Morales is going to be replacing James Gallagher versus Patrick Mix. Both those came out late. Well, the Patrick Mix one and Gallagher came out late last week because I want to say it came out on Wednesday, which is another reason why we're moving to Wednesday. So we get the news for the next of the week coming up. Once again, another fight we were looking forward to, Brandon. Leon Edwards, Nate Diaz. That's moved back at least a month. They're moving it to June 12th. UFC 263, which is already a loaded card. So now we're going to have 3 5-round fights on that card. Diaz suffered what they're calling a minor injury. They haven't said what the injury is, but him and Leon Edwards get moved back a month. They were supposed to be next weekend on May 15th. Now they're a month later, so hopefully Diaz can get healed up, get back in that cage. As far as I know, the fight is still going to go on, except now it's going to be under the main card, main event of Adesanya versus Vittori, and also Figueiredo versus Moreno. So it'll be the third 5-round fight on that card, and it will also be in Glendale in front of a crowd. So I guess it's definitely a bonus. Go ahead.
I was gonna say now. I think I kind of want to say I think it's good about the UFC because I think that the Diaz Edwards fight is better on this card than it is on this one coming up. Because to me, you didn't need the Diaz Edwards fight on this pay-per-view coming up for May 15th because it was already stacked when you had Chandler Oliveira for the lightweight title. Plus 2, you got my boy Shane Burgos on there who always brings it. Him and Edson Barboza. I think that fight, I think that card alone was stacked enough. While this one, yes, it had Izzy on it, but I think maybe to help boost that flyweight title as well to give it a little bit more love as well. I think
after that last war, I don't think anybody is missing out on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you still never meant, dude. There are still those big people who still don't like flyweights out here. But they'll still watch a Diaz fight.
I'll play devil's advocate though, because I think this card did need that Diaz Edwards fight because of the name. Because of that name. Because you look at UFC 262. Yeah, obviously Oliveira Chandler, and we'll talk about that next week in depth. Ferguson versus Darush, Chikagian versus Araujo, Barboza versus Burgos, Jacare versus Munoz. Yeah, Jack Hermanson's on the card versus Shabazian. Matt Schnell's back. KGB Lee versus Antonio, Shevchenko. Like, it was a lot of really good fighters on this card. But how many casual fans know anything outside of that main event and maybe Tony Ferguson?
That's all you need. That's all you need is the main and co-main.
But it's a pay-per-view, Brandon.
But most people buy the pay-per-view for the main and co-main, and that's it anyway.
My problem is when Ferguson Darush becomes the co-main event, when Ferguson's lost several fights in a row, Darush is, even though he's a really great fighter, he's not a household name.
Listen to what you're just saying about El Kukumi losing fights. Nate Diaz lost his last fight.
But he's going against Leon Edwards, who could be fighting for a title.
Oh, come on.
Who has a bigger name, Brandon? Nate Diaz or Tony Ferguson?
Diaz brothers, man, they have a cult, man. They don't got a fan base. They got a cult.
And you're a cult fan, so come on. You talk about the Diaz brothers like they're Jesus, so come on, man.
Yeah, man. I'm not on Team Stockton like that, all right? But I give them their due process.
And throw some holy water on that shit. Come on, man.
Say, man, I'm just saying, like, I think it might be better for the June card, but either way, I'm still gonna watch it anyway. I just go back for Leon Edwards.
I'm looking forward to it.
The big fight for him being moved back again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, if nothing else, just because that Oliveira Chandler fight. Like, I want to see that fight. I want to see Oliveira win the title that he deserves, because I don't think Chandler can hang with him. But we will talk about all that in depth next week. Let's not spoil next week. Our Wednesday debut. We'll definitely talk about UFC 262. Last bit of news, and this is really just more curiosity for me. Sean O'Malley, he's coming back on 264, which is July 10th. It's kind of curious to me. He's fighting Luis Smolka, and this isn't a knock on Luis Smolka. He won his last fight pretty impressively. That was towards the end of 2020. I remember that fight, or maybe early 21. But I remember him fighting not too long ago. He was pretty impressive. My question is this. You come off a Sean O'Malley fight where he gets his swagger back, right? Like, he gets his win. He looked pretty impressive. He definitely looked like he was still limping a little bit on that leg. And afterwards, you get to call out Dominic Cruz, who wants to fight him. You get a couple other top 15 guys that are like, hey, we want this guy. We think we can expose him. And he gets stuck with, and I'm sorry, the diss Luis Smolka for this, but he gets stuck with Luis Smolka. Like, really? Like, you're talking about top 10, top 15 guys for Sean O'Malley. You're talking about your star being back on the top, ready to be the next big guy, and you're putting him against Luis Smolka. I'm gonna ask you. I was gonna just move on from this, but I'm actually asking you. Do you think the UFC is trying to protect Sean O'Malley?
I mean, it could be where maybe Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley has to accept the fight. So I mean, if he wanted one of those big names, he could have said, "Nah, I'll pass on Smoke and give me this person, give me that person." So to me, man, Sean O'Malley, he has to be cool with taking this fight. So you know,
my thing is, this is another, and I guess Dominic Cruz and all those guys are little guys compared to O'Malley too. But Smolka is a striker. He's not going to try to grapple you. He does have 7 submissions, but his last fight, he was headhunting against Quinones, right? It was in December. I was right at the end of the year. But Sean O'Malley, it's the perfect opponent for Sean O'Malley. He's not going to really try to grapple him. He's going to really try to like stand with him. The older Smolka gets, the less he tends to like grapple. It's not that, I mean, obviously he has 7 submissions. He can submit you, but with the distance and the range that Sean O'Malley is, he's a problem for any guy that's not even close in height to him. I just think this is a bad matchup, and I think it's an easier matchup for O'Malley. Anything can happen in a fight. I think UFC's protecting him. I really do. Pretty unfortunate too. Last couple bit of news, and then we'll move on to some results. A lot of people might not know this name. UFC heavyweight Rafael Pessoa. He gets suspended 2 years. Not only did he evade a drug sample, he also got popped for PEDs. You might know him for more recently fighting Tanner Boser last year. He also fought Cyril Gane a couple years ago. So he's fought some bigger names. He will be out for at least a couple years. Definitely seemed like he was running from the man. Running from
he's pulling the Vandalay.
John Jones hiding under the ring. I don't know, but at 32, a couple years later, I mean, he's a big guy. Those big guys can fight for a while, so might be done in the UFC. But we saw with Jessica Penny, if you're under contract, he may be brought back. So we'll see. When's Hannah Goldie going to beat Jessica Penny's ass? I'm waiting for that.
Let's stop.
And the last bit of news we talked about a couple weeks ago or last week. Wiz Khalifa obviously buying into PFL. He's going to be more forefront, more marketing. You saw that with the PFL 1 especially. Marshawn Lynch has also jumped on. We talked about last week. You mentioned, I think, last year how Tom Brady and a bunch of other people invested. Marshawn Lynch has jumped into the investment circle for PFL. He's now a part owner. But I don't expect Marshawn to be up in front. It's not really his personality. Unless it's Skittles, he doesn't really like to be talking too much. So I expect Marshawn just to be investing his money into something he thinks he can make a return on. Actually, I'm going to ask you one question on this too before we move into the results. We've seen over the last couple of years a rack of celebrities jump into PFL, right? Just jumping on that investment train, whether they're investing $1 and putting their name on it or investing millions, who knows? None of that's ever released. Does all that end now that Endeavor just went public with the UFC and they can put their money into a more proven product? What do you think?
Nah, because I mean, then you would think about the same thing with like a Bellator, you know. I don't think that really changes. I mean, unless they really want to play the stock market. But I mean, why not do both? Then you can own one thing and you have stock in another company. You know, if that's what you want to do.
Yeah, it just kind of worried me with Endeavor going public, whether that might slow down PFL's train.
Nah, like I said, like I mean, like saying they've been doing this since day one. Like I said, because like when they first started, I remember I was telling you, like saying Kevin Hart, Cam Newton, saying like Tom Brady and a whole bunch of other celebrities, they were all in the mix of owning it. Like I mean, like nothing big, but maybe maybe like 1%, 2%, something like that. But I really want to say like that's really where they're getting their money from. Because I remember before, people were like, oh man, how are they going to make money? But I think that's how they made their money was from their investors. But now you have this ESPN money coming in. So I think that's how, they make their money back and everything like that.
My scary thing with the whole ESPN money is that they are on, how do I put this? They are on the UFC's time. They are on, sorry, I'm bringing something up in the background to get ready to talk about. But they are on the UFC's time, which what I mean by that is that they basically are on the same network that the UFC is on, right? Mm-hmm. And obviously UFC is the more big dog in that situation. If PFL continues to elevate, I got to think at some point Dana White and the honchos over at Endeavor have a talk with Disney. And like, we don't want PFL getting these prime time slots. That doesn't mean I think they'll kick PFL off the network. But I do think if they do get too big for their britches, so to speak, that maybe Dana and them kind of bully them into a lesser time slot. And it wouldn't be the first thing. We see it, in wrestling, like we've seen it. We've seen it in boxing, like one big fighter will kind of push another fighter like into oblivion if they have the sway saying, hey, we'll fight on your network. Bump this guy. It's not unheard of. You see it in network TV shows. One TV show wants to be on a certain night. So my concern for PFL, I think ESPN is great for their exposure. It's been tremendous for their exposure. The first two cards have been awesome. We'll talk about Rory Macdonald and all that stuff coming up in just a minute. I just worry. I worry about them and their longevity being on the same banner as UFC, so to speak. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Brandon, you got any other news you want to talk about this week before we hop into some results?
All right. I'm ready to go.
All right. One on TNT has wrapped up for this season. They will be back on May 15th. I don't believe it's on TNT, though. I think it's back on their normal what are they on? Fight TV? They're on something.
Oh, yeah, like the pay-per-view app? Yeah. Fight.
Yeah. So I believe May 15th will be back to that. They've made a few announcements for that card, including a women's Grand Prix kind of type tournament they're going to be working on. So we'll talk about more of that next week with one. But as far as their results from last week, they finished up with a bang. Couple fights that we want to talk about. Brandon and I were both 0-2 overall for our picks last week. Your boy continues his run on top. I was 4-3. Brandon was 3-3-1. But for record-keeping purposes, we don't count the one. I do think your boy got screwed, but that's me. Yeah, whatever. We'll talk about that later. But one on TNT IV, Ung La versus the Ritter, and then Eddie versus OK. And man, I don't know what to think about. We'll get to the main event in a second. Let's start off with Eddie Alvarez and OK. I don't know what to think about Eddie anymore, Brandon. He got really outclassed almost the entire fight. Ray Yunoke had the reach on him, obviously, so he was a taller fighter. He was very good at keeping Eddie at distance. He almost finished Eddie in the first. He had great knees to the body. I think he even caught Eddie with a liver shot that Eddie fought through at one point because I saw Eddie kind of fold over with one of those knees. My question for you is actually this, because the turnaround, the 27,000 miles they said that Eddie flew back and forth coming back for this fight 3 weeks later, I don't think means anything because his opponent literally fought a 3-round war 1 week before this. So go ahead.
I was going to say, I got something to say about that. Yo, I found out that is a lie, that his opponent actually fought it was 3 weeks ago. It was on tape delay.
Oh, so it was taped.
Yeah. So yeah, that's why me and you we had went into that fight saying oh yeah, Eddie should win this. His guy fought just a week ago. Nah, I found out that no, that fight was that fight was done.
So they fought around the same time.
Yeah, I felt like saying the date was April 3rd is when he fought his opponent, something like that. So
well, he still went through a 3-round fight where Eddie fought less than a round.
True, that is true. Yeah, man.
He had to make the same weight cut.
Yep. I mean, hey, Eddie. I mean, hey, if you follow Eddie Eddie Alvarez on Twitter. He never lost. He's undefeated. He's 2-0. He should be fighting the champion next. You know,
what's his excuse for this one? I've missed this one.
Nah,
he got totally beat.
Yeah, man. He didn't lose. He won. He apparently, I think it was just three other guys just didn't think that he won. But it is what it is, man. Like, it just to me so far, man, just his run in one, it just hasn't panned out yet. But I mean, it's still early. It's only been, well, I guess you want to say 3 fights. No, is it 4 fights?
3 or 4.
Yeah, I think it's like 4 fights in. So, I mean, hey, man, like, that's why, to me, I think sometimes, man, like, during this whole travel thing, like, I think it really can affect you, because also too
4.
Yeah, so what is he, like 1 in 3?
1 and 2 and 1 no contest.
Yeah. So I mean,
no, I do think it's funny that Sherdog still has it listed as a DQ.
Yeah,
they haven't updated.
Because I want to say when he came into the UFC, he lost the Cowboy, but then he fight.
On a run.
No, well, the thing was, like, didn't he fight Melendez next? Wasn't that his second fight?
Yeah, Gilbert. Yeah.
Yeah, but wasn't that a split decision win?
He won 2 straight split decisions. He split with Gilbert, and then right after that, he had a split decision win against Anthony Pettis.
Yeah, exactly. But both those fights, like I said, it was a split decision. So really,
and then he knocked out Dos Anjos to win the title.
Yeah, I'm saying, but some people could have had Eddie losing those fights. So in reality, he really could have been 0-3 in his UFC run if you had different judges that night. So I mean, like, to me, man, this just his career, like his fighting style, man. He's a gritty guy. He likes to get in there. He likes to bang. He does get himself in trouble. But now I think just what it is, man. Sometimes, man, people have evolved, and I just don't think maybe he really has evolved so much where people aren't trying to stand and bang with him. They're going to try to keep him at bay, clip him, hurt him, and keep on going.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Eddie Alvarez is 37 years old. He has had some of the highest in this sport. Like, he was the underground king, like he likes to call him. It's his nickname. But he really was early in his career. Everybody's like, why is this guy not in the UFC? He's the baddest dude on the planet at his division. We want to see him matched up with these guys in the UFC, whoever was champ at the time. They'd always compare, like, what if he fought Eddie Alvarez? He had his classic battles with Michael Chandler and Bellator, which I'm sure took years off both their careers. But he's also been in wars in the UFC. He had that fight with Justin Gaethje that he knocked Gaethje out. He's also been knocked out by Conor. He had those wars with Dustin Poirier. And it's not the first time Eddie's done something illegal, that he got lucky. Herb Dean called it a no contest. Kind of a joke, but it's also real. If that was Mark Smith, it probably would have been a DQ. We'll talk about that, coming up later. Kind of a segue into that Marcos fight later in the UFC, but unfortunately, I don't see what's left for Eddie. He can be an attraction, but I don't see what it's worth for one to keep carrying this on. I think if one's smart, they'll probably let him go, let him come back to the United States, maybe hop on a Bellator card or something, make a last couple paydays, and let Eddie get some money. But I just don't see, because I said this last week. Don't sleep on OK. I said it because I was like, I'm picking Eddie. I think this is set up for him. But one has some terrific fighters you've never heard of. I said last week, like, they got some killers over there. Some of these guys you never heard of are amazing fighters. They're just more dominant in Asia, and they haven't made their way over to the United States. I love the way OK fought. I thought Ray Yoon fought incredible. So I would love to see more of that guy. I think, if anything, they made a new star out of him. And the other card we saw on TV, kind of a shit show. Everybody kind of pumped up Rueg. I'm talking about Omar Kane. Him and Grishenko basically held each other the first few minutes of the fight. Both were trying to out-wrestle each other. But when it turned to striking, Grishenko just kind of turned around. My question is this. Why was that declared a TKO when every replay in the world, even the ref, knew that he hit him in the throat after the bell? Shouldn't that have been a DQ or at least a no contest?
Like I said, man, one does some funky things, man. I don't know what goes on over there.
I think it's going to be another Eddie Alvarez situation. I think they're going to overturn it to a no contest just to keep pumping up their boy. because they were really big on Reg.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think he even said it. I think he had put something out on social media, basically saying like, yeah, they're going to try to get it overturned. He's going to try to get a rematch with him, and he's going to finish him this time. And then he's going to try to do another fight, I think, with somebody else, he said.
I honestly don't want to see that guy fight, at least not on TV anytime soon. He needs a lot. He's very green. He's a strong wrestler, but if he's in there with another wrestler, it's going to be a boring fight because he doesn't have the hands to go with it. That was my 2 cents. I think if this guy that he was fighting last fight, Kirill, if he just goes and if he learned anything from that last fight that he can just bang with the Reg and hurt him bad, especially if Reg gasses out like he kind of did midway through that first round from just trying to grapple.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be a very short fight. I hope they don't run it back for his. If they do turn it over, I hope they don't run it back. Let's talk about that main event though before we move on. We had both kind of mentioned, Ung he's a Sanford MMA guy. Most of those guys don't lose twice to the same person. They tend to be very skilled and ready to fight. But I think most people were sleeping on the fact that they just didn't know who Reinier de Ridder was, because he is a world class. Like, I think he compete with some of the best guys in the UFC. He blew me away. He just like Ung La fought his ass off, right? He got out of positions he probably shouldn't have been able to get out of. He showed him a ton of heart. But de Ridder just controlled that fight from the start to the finish. Break that one down for me.
Yeah, man, not just Ridder. Ridder did what he had to do. He really just used his jiu-jitsu, because I think that's what it was. I think in the first fight, it really was that he got taken down. And I think Ridder took his back. He used the body lock, and I think, and I want to say that's how he stopped him. But I think saying this time he definitely did work his defense, his jiu-jitsu defense. He didn't get caught with any submissions, but
he almost got him in the same body lock in the first minute of the fight.
Yeah, but the thing was he just couldn't stop the takedowns. That was his problem. He couldn't stop the takedowns. He kept on getting taken down. And taken down. Once he got taken down, he'd give up his back, and that was it. And that's really all de Ridder had on him, was he would just control him. He used his strikes, pepper him. He would try to set up his submissions, but it just wasn't happening. But he won on the scorecards though.
Yeah, I love the way one does the scoring, by the way. I meant to say something about this with like a couple of controversial UFC fights. Even that fight we're going to talk about later with Jacoby and like, I love the fact that the judges are just like, all right, this is who we think won the fight. There's no draws. There's 3 judges. If they split, they split. But there's no draws. We saw 3 rounds of action. You get the break between rounds so your fighters can get rested. But we saw the 3 to 5 rounds, and now this is who we think won the fight. It's based on total fight control, total fight. It's not based on, a highlight here, a highlight there. It's not based on somebody laying on somebody for 3 minutes. It's like, this is who we thought won the fight. And I love it. I don't know if UFC would ever adopt something like that, but we talk about open scoring. Screw open scoring. just have the judges pick a winner. Forget like, oh, well, I gave him this round, but the other guy won these 3 rounds, but the other guy had 2 more dominant rounds than the guy who had 3 so-so rounds, but the guy with 3 so-so rounds actually won the fight. Like, I don't like that. Like, I love the way one does their scoring. Just one winner, call it a day. I wish all fight promotions, I wish boxing would do that. Oh my God. Imagine how much better boxing would be if you like, well, there was a 12-round fight and 5 of the rounds went this guy and 7 guys this one, but these 3 rounds could go either way. Forget the either way rounds. There are no close rounds in one scoring. Like, this is who we thought won the fight. That's it. They pay judges to judge. That's it. I do love that. As far as de Ridder, though, 2 belts might not be enough for this guy. He called out Brandon Vera afterwards. He wants the heavyweight belt as well. I think Vera's scheduled to fight next month or June at the latest. Man. And Sang already beat Vera. He already knocked him out. So they fought at light heavyweight, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
But so it's going to be interesting. One's got a couple new stars in their hand. I think de Ridder definitely elevated his stock. I think Rey elevated his stock. And one last thing I'll say about this card, and then we'll move on to PFL real quick. Shinya Aoki beat Fola Yang by armbar in the first round. I wish that fight was televised. I was so mad that fight. I would rather watch that versus the Kane fight. Because those are 2 legends. two legends they didn't put on TV because they didn't think they'd draw. So I think one really missed the boat on that one. You ready to talk about some PFL?
Yep.
All
Red
right.
King, baby.
We were both 2-0 in PFL, 0-2 and 1-2-0 in PFL. Let's go ahead and jump and start off with the main event. The Red King, Rory Macdonald, looked every bit the part. His skill level, his slight age difference, he was faster, he was quicker. The move to Sanford seems to have just reinvigorated him. What do you think of that fight?
Hey, man, Rory, Anthony Pettis says he wants to be the face of the PFL. Anthony Macdonald says he wants to be the face of the PFL. Rory Macdonald, he came out, he did his thing. I think he really might be the lead case for the face of the PFL.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with Werdum this weekend, but that submission over Millender in the second round, he just dominated that fight.
Yep. It wasn't even the second round. It was the first round.
Was it? I thought it went to the second.
I think it was the first round. They got him in the first round.
You're right. 338 in the first round. My bad. Yeah, I mean, Millender just looked lost. Like, this is a guy with a lot of experience, but once they got to the ground, it was all over. Rory is just so undervalued as far as his skill level. People know about the wars he's been in. He's been in some striking wars in UFC, even in Bellator. You know, the fight with Lima and Sassi, but he showed he's got the full package. And people forget he was one step away from that UFC welterweight title for a long time that was held by GSP. So they never wanted to fight because they were teammates. So Rory Macdonald could be the face. He definitely could be the face. We'll find out this weekend. Also, you got another guy coming. We'll talk about it in a few minutes, Fabricio Werdum. So, and then they got their young stars like, Kayla Harrison, who's going to be fighting this weekend. So, Ray Cooper versus Jason Poney. Cooper also with the submission in the first round. Cooper looked fantastic. We both picked Cooper. What do you think of that fight?
Hey, man, Ray Cooper said, I'm the champ. I'm keeping my belt. Anybody that wants the smoke can get the smoke. Came in, domination. Picked him up, dropped him on his dome. I'm saying we all know Ray Cooper can bang, but I think he's trying to let us know that he has a ground game as well, that he can get some submissions if he needs to.
Yeah, Ray Cooper looked fantastic. This whole card, though, was pretty awesome. You had Antonio Carlos Jr., who just lost to a tough fight to Brad Tavares last year. He came back, got the win over Filthy Tom Lawler. He got him in a guillotine late in the first round. Carlos Jr., we all know, world-class jiu-jitsu. And the stronger his knee gets, I'm telling you right now, another guy who could be one of the faces of the promotion. People forget that fight with him and Tavares, both him and Tavares were coming off serious ACL injuries. Mm-hmm. Both those guys are going to be better their next fight out. Tavares looked pretty good that fight. I mean, his takedown defense was incredible against Carlos Jr. Carlos couldn't get him to the ground. Tom Lawler, for as long as he's fought, the veteran that he is, his ground game's not on the level of Carlos Jr. So that was just a mismatch. Cesar Ferreira with that knockout, oh my God, 37 seconds into the fight, knocked Rohrick out cold. Veteran Kamosi got upset by Sorty. I don't know if it's an upset. Sorty's actually a pretty talented fighter. And then another couple guys that you've heard of, João Zeferino, Gleison Tibau, that won a 3-round decision, all for Zeferino. So a pretty entertaining night of fights. I definitely am looking forward to seeing Macdonald back in that cage. Looking forward to seeing Ray Cooper back later this season. Man, both those guys looked incredible. Anything else you want to add on this card?
I mean, it was just a good card. I really enjoyed the fights. Like I said, I really like what the PFL is doing. And they keep it moving too. They don't try to really linger or anything. They just kind of keep the fights going.
Their product's really made for TV. Like I didn't watch it live because I actually forgot it was on a Thursday. I even forgot it was on a Friday. I actually watched it Saturday morning. I was like, wait, I missed it last night. And Brandon was like, it actually happened Thursday. I was like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, why is it so? Because I was watching something on ESPN Friday, and I was like, was it earlier? Oh, the draft. I was watching the draft. And I was just like, wait. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's on Thursday. Okay. Well, that's why I didn't watch it on Thursday, because it was, Giants were sitting there taking Tony and stealing the draft. So kind of high on the Giants' first 3 picks. I wasn't so high on the last few, but, I've been wrong before, and I really hope I am, because those first 3 picks were woo. So hopefully Giants kick ass this year. I know you guys don't want to hear us talk about anything but MMA, so sorry. Brandon, gotta keep me in my lane. All right, let's talk about UFC last weekend. I did watch that entire card. UFC Vegas 25, UFC on ESPN 23, whatever you want to call it. Former title contender Dominic Reyes against up-and-comer Yuri Prochazka. Giga versus Cub Swanson. Kuda Bella versus Jacoby. A lot of great fights on that one. Let's go ahead and jump into the main event. Dominic Reyes, Yuri Prochazka. Yuri knocked him out cold. A spinning elbow. You know, for as much as we know about Yuri, this was actually only his second UFC fight. The guy's been destroying it on the regional scenes for years. Ryzen, most notably. He's fought in Ryzen ever since Ryzen won back in 2016. So people know him more from that, obviously before that. But his last loss comes all the way back in 2015 against King Mo. Like, that's how long ago it's been since King Mo was in his prime, like 6 years ago, or towards his prime. He's beat the current Bellator light heavyweight champion, Nemkov. And then you have to go all the way back to 2013 before he lost a couple more fights. So this guy's been fighting a lot. He's only 28 years old, and he just overwhelmed Dominic Reyes. Dominic had a couple moments in that fight where he kind of fought back. But, man, Yuri looked great. What do you think of that fight?
I mean, it was a good fight. I mean, my thing with Yuri is like, yeah, I want to give props to him, man. He did what he had to do. But the reason why one of the reasons why I picked Dominic Reyes was because I knew Dominic Reyes would be able to hit him, and which he was able to hit him. Like, I think Yuri has he's only been in two UFC fights, but I think he has average where like he gets hit like 6 times a minute.
He just comes straight forward.
Yeah, you know, and it's like there's no defense there. So that's my thing. Is like, I mean, you watch Dominic Reyes' fight against Chris Weidman. He did, you know, Weidman came forward. Dominic, he did the step back, caught him with the left hand, and I was like, "Yup, he's gonna do the same thing to Yuri," which he did. Like, Yuri would come in and he would catch him with the left hand, but Yuri just ate it and kept on going.
Yeah, he just
ate it, yeah. So I mean, there are points where it is though. Yuri did get hit, and then he did take a step back. It was like, whoa, okay, let me slow it down. But then he would maybe circle around a little bit, but then he would just go forward again and go back to work. You know, like my thing is like, I think Dominic Reyes didn't go forward enough when he should have. Like he would hit Reyes, stop Reyes. I'm sorry, he would hit Yuri and stop Yuri from going forward, but then he wouldn't go forward after him. He would kind of just stay where he is, let Yuri compose himself, and that's when Yuri can start his offense back. But I mean, hey man, that knockout was brutal. It was beautiful violence, as I was calling it on Twitter. Saying, man, hit him with that elbow. Reyes went down. I'm glad he was able to get up because I mean he landed weird on his neck.
It was scary,
but said all signs seems to be that he's good. And hey, man, if what Dana White says is true, which of course you know you can never believe that, but he says Yuri is the next guy to get the title shot, I'm down for it. Him versus Glover, him versus Jan, I'm down for either one of them.
I was a little upset by that because people forget they just said the same thing about Rakic after he beat Santos.
Yep.
And yes, that wasn't the most exciting fight. Yuri's obviously a much more exciting fight. But how are you going to skip him in the rankings for a guy that has 2 UFC fights? Rakic has been going through these guys, and now all of a sudden the UFC rankings come out, and it's Yuri ahead of Rakic. And I'm just like, wait, how does a guy lose his spot and he didn't even fight? Yuri had to jump up 3 spots because he beat Reyes. Well, Reyes is a good opponent, but Reyes has lost 2 in a row before he lost this fight. Yes, it was John Jones. Yes, it was Jan. They were both title fights, but he's coming off 2 losses. He's coming off a knockout. The concern I have for Reyes going forward is that I don't think he has the chin that he used to have, because anybody would have been knocked out by what Yuri did. But Jan kind of blitzed him the same way, and Yuri kind of just followed that playbook. And what happens if the next guy just follows that playbook? Because if Reyes can't catch you with that step back counter, or he can't just, outskill you. These guys are just as big as he is and just come forward. That's kind of a blueprint that now has been established. I think if Rakic was fighting him, I think Rakic would do the same thing to Reyes, because he kind of has that same style. I think Yuri, and first of all, Yuri didn't take a lot of damage. Rakic didn't take a lot of damage. When's Glover and Jan fighting? June or July, right?
No, I really want to say I feel like it's not till August.
All right, so match Yuri and Rakic up in that card and let them go. Like, let them go, and then the winner can fight in like January against the winner of Glover and Jan. Give them time to recover. Like, Yuri says he fights 2 times a year, every year. Let him get a second fight. Let him go in August. Even September if you want to split it up. And then let him fight in January or February. Let him go for the title. But I don't think it's fair to Rakic at all to get jumped when all he's doing is beating people up. Rakic has been rolling through everybody. As far as Dominic goes, Dominic's going to have to take some time and reevaluate. He's been knocked out twice in a row. If you want to maybe match him up against somebody, maybe Anthony Smith or somebody, that might be a fun fight. But I don't know what's next for Dominic right now. What do you think?
Yeah, man. I mean, I probably would say he can still get somebody in the top 10. But I'm saying he's coming off a loss. He probably wants to go up against somebody who's coming off a loss. Like I said, I wouldn't do Anthony Smith because Anthony Smith just won his last fight anyway.
Yeah, but that was more. I mean, he earned it. He did the leg kick. It wasn't like the injury came from nowhere. But
yeah. But I'm saying, I mean, if I'm Dom Reyes, I probably won't want to go up against Anthony Smith either, man. I'm saying Anthony Smith, man, he'll bang with you. He'll crack. Saying dude's called Lionheart for a reason. So,
he's looked really good his last few fights.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, maybe we get a Dom Reyes versus a Jimmy Crute. If Jimmy Crute heals up, he's ready to go. You have those two guys face each other.
I would say even a Johnny Walker. Like somebody maybe around 10, like make him kind of earn it back a little bit. Don't just keep him in the top 5 because he fought 2 title fights. He's lost 3 fights in a row. Make him earn it back. Also on that card, let's move on to the co-main. I know Brandon's going to want to talk about this. It was Giga time. Promo code Giga time right above me. It was Giga time. Man, he just landed. Cub should have took his ass down. But he never had a chance, man. He did a raise up side kick, and then Cub, as soon as Cub let his guard up for a second, he hit him straight in that liver. Perfectly placed kick. Break that fight down for me. Not much to break down, but break it down.
It's like I told you, man. Just to me, like, this is somebody who used their weapons, knew their game plan, and just I knew how Cub Swanson was gonna be. I'm saying Cub Swanson wasn't gonna wrestle him. Cub Swanson was gonna stand, use his boxing, because Cub Swanson's gonna tell you he's like one of the best boxers in the UFC. So he wants to box with him. Giga, he's gonna use his hands, gonna use his kicks. Did what he had to do. He set it up. Boom, he got that liver kick in, and it was a wrap. I mean, he went down, and then Giga followed up with those punches, and the ref had to step in and stop it.
I mean, it was over before the punches. That liver kick shut him down.
Yeah.
I would say he wasn't in some. Giga was very impressive with his kicks. He wasn't as impressive when he was throwing hands with Cub. He looked kind of wild with his hands a little bit, like winging in some punches. But that top level kickboxing, those kicks were on point. And if you fight Giga in the future, you have to sit there and pay more attention to that, which then opens you up for, even if it's not the best punches, it opens you up. I want to see him kind of go up against some kind of grappler to see if he can do it all, see how his takedown defense really is. But it was a good night for Georgian fighters. He got the win. Also on the card, Vili got the win over Cody Stamann. Stamann kind of held his ground early, second, third round. I mean, it was just takedown central. Merab took him down whenever he wanted to. That was my pick of the night. But I want to spend just a couple minutes talking about your pick, Brandon. Jacoby came out the first round against Cutabella. Looked great. First round looked great. Second and third round were kind of up and down. What did you think about the draw?
I mean, I'm not going. I mean,
being unbiased.
No, I was gonna say no. To me, I thought like Jacoby got basically like manhandled in the first round because
I just thought he was cleaner. I thought he landed the better strikes. I thought he
because that's when Cutabella would grab him, hold him down, take him down, had him up against the cage, throw those nasty elbows on him. Like, that's where maybe I could see the judges maybe gave him a 10-8 round right there.
Told the other way, but go ahead.
You know, I mean, that's how I'm thinking. That's how it was. You know, because that's where you can be like, okay, maybe, you know, he was just to me the first round, Jacoby lost it hands down in my opinion when I was watching it, because even the missus was looking at me and going like, it's not looking good for your boy right now, because she even thought he was about to get stopped. So and I was like, hey, you know, it's just the first round. We still got 2 more. And then boom, the second round happened. And like I say, you know, Jacoby, he started to get a little bit better, but I don't know. Like I felt like the second round was a little, like I felt like that was a closer round where it could have went maybe either way. But the third round definitely was Jacoby, because I definitely felt like Kutabel was tired. He was done, but the thing was just Jacoby, just to me, he didn't go forward enough to really try to finish him.
I thought the opposite in the first round. I thought Jacoby landed the cleaner shots. I thought a lot of what Kutabella was doing was just kind of like roughing him up. I didn't think it was actually doing anything. I didn't think the elbows were really landing. Like maybe one of them did, but I thought Jacoby was just doing the cleaner strikes, and especially when they were at any kind of distance. The second round, I saw back and forth. The third round, I saw Jacoby more, but I didn't think Jacoby did enough either. I thought Jacoby won the fight, but you know, you leave it in the hands of the judges, anything can happen. Real quick before we move on to some picks, Sean Strickland got the win. I've never seen a guy with better striking who doesn't move his head an inch. Like somebody mentioned this online, and I'm sorry, I don't remember who it was, but I saw somebody mention that like Sean Strickland is the first fighter I've ever seen to like knock somebody out without ever moving their head. It went to a decision against Jocko, but man, Sean Strickland doesn't hide from you. His head is like right there. He's like, he has his range. He has good distance, you know, but since he's moved up in weight, come back from the injury, he's looked fantastic. The only other fight I really want to talk about, well, TJ Brown, Kamika was one of the fights of the night. Hats off to both those guys. They brought it all 3 rounds. There were times I thought TJ Brown didn't even belong in there. And then he would come back out of nowhere. He would just have like a great rally and just, you know, have his moments. I thought Kamika actually, I know TJ got the split decision. I thought Kamika won the fight. I thought he had more control of the exchanges. Yeah. TJ, I guess, had a couple bigger moments, but I thought Kamika should have won the fight. I think even TJ Brown in the post-fight interview thought he should have lost that fight, but he was thankful he won. Another one of James Krause's guys. So TJ Brown, somebody keep an eye on as well. The fight that kind of questions me. So Randa Marcos versus Luana Pinheiro. Everybody's going to bring up Aljamain Sterling. I can't even talk today. For people who watch the show on a weekly basis, they know that's a usual thing. But they'll probably bring up Sterling and think that it was kind of an acting thing. She did get kicked flush in the face. But the way she fell was kind of weird. But when you're watching something in slow motion, you know, it looks a lot different than it does live. Live, she kind of went straight back and out. She thought she had lost the fight, which is another sign to me that somebody doesn't think they're acting. Yeah. But I thought it should have been a no contest. Mark Smith, you know, famously in that Peter Yan Sterling fight, you know, he called the DQ, which is what I brought up earlier. Maybe if it was Herb Dean, maybe it would have been a no contest. Because if at one point Randa Marcos fights through a foul, right? Because Pinheiro poked her in her eyelid. The eyelid was bloody. She couldn't even see that well. But she decided to continue. But it was a clear foul. She could have took the way out right then and there, and she didn't. She kept fighting. They're in a scramble getting up. It's kind of hard to tell in that position, and I would assume you know better than I. But when you're in that position and both people are getting up, you don't know that she's still on the ground too, because she's getting up faster than you. So in the moment Randa kicked her in the face, she knew instantly, like, oh crap, I'm sorry. So I don't think it was with intent. I don't think it was it's obviously you're trying to hurt your opponent. It's the hurt business, but and RIP to the last little bit of the hurt business last night. But sorry, Brandon. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought it should have been a no contest. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I thought it was going to be a no contest because it happened in the first round. Like if it maybe happened in the second round or the third round, then I could see them. I could either see it being a DQ or or they would have went to the scorecards. But the thing was because it was in the first round, that's why I just thought it's a no contest because you got nothing to go on. It like it wasn't like the fight wasn't going on, and also too to me, I didn't think it was really intentional. But I think because he said it was an intentional blow, hence why it was a DQ.
He called it the moment it happened. The moment it happened, he called off the fight.
Yeah, I think if it was unintentional, then it maybe would have been a no contest. Man, I just feel bad, man. Like Mark Smith has been the ref in these type of outcomes lately. But I mean, hey, he's paying attention to the game.
Look, in fairness, Mark Smith isn't the one committing the fouls. Like these fighters committed fouls. Whether you disagree with it, whether you or I agree with the decision or not, Mark Smith is just calling the action. These guys, like Peter Yan committed the foul, right? Mm-hmm. Marcos committed the foul. I do object to one thing. He called the fight off instantly. It doesn't matter if she was acting or not. Actually, if you watch the replay, it doesn't matter how hurt she was, because the moment it happened, he's like, fight's over. At that point, it's irrelevant if she can continue fighting or not. He already called the fight. I think people miss that. I think he called it too quickly. He didn't give her a chance to recover and see if she wanted to continue off the foul.
She was out, bro.
She was out.
She was out.
Yeah. But he didn't wait to see if she was out. He immediately just assumed she was knocked out.
Because I think he knew. Because I think he saw the way how she went back that she was out. Because I think it might have been either Paul or Bisping that even said it. I think it was Bisping. I think Bisping straight up said like, "Oh, she's out." Like he even said it like as it happened. You know, she was like, "Oh, she's out. Her eyes closed," something like that. And then that's when he was like, "Oh, wait, maybe not." But then watching the replay, he was like, "Oh no, she was out." And then of course you hear waking up saying like, "Oh, did I lose the fight?" Like that's saying somebody was out. She was knocked out.
Yeah, and I don't think there was any acting to it. Only other thing I'll say on that card real quick before we move on to our picks, man, I love watching Luke Boomy. Like she is so fun to watch. Her and Sam Hughes had a nice little battle going back and forth. Sam Hughes showed up. Sam Hughes had her moments in that fight as well. But Loma Lookboonmee, real name is Kunklak. I can't say her last name, Sufisera. But everybody knows her by Loma Lookboonmee. Man, she is so fun to watch. I was rooting against her against Jin Frey. Yeah, because I just love watching Frey fight so much. But man, I like Loma. She's so much fun to watch. I know you agree too. So
yeah,
I can't wait to see her back in the cage. All right, Brandon, you ready to move on and make some picks so we can get out of here today?
Yeah, man, I gotta get that top dog back. You know.
And you were cocky last week too. That's what you get.
No, man. What happened was, man, it was one, man. If I didn't have one, I would have been all right. I blame ONE FC.
There you go.
I blame Eddie Alvarez.
See what had happened was. I blame Eddie Alvarez. Man, well, we both lost the Eddie fights. We both lost on one. All right, let's talk about it. PFL number 3 of the 2021 season. Headlined by Fabricio Werdum versus Renan Ferreira. You got Kayla Harrison versus Mariana Moraes. You got Usman's brother, Muhammad Usman, his younger brother, going against Brandon Sales. You also have people like Larissa Pachenko on this fight. You have Caitlin Young and Cindy Dandos. You have Laura Sanchez on this fight. You have Justin Willis, who has some UFC experience. All in all, they got 9 fights listed. They may have a 10th they add to the card, but we shall see. Brandon, let's start off. Let's make our picks. Fabricio Werdum making his PFL debut against Renan Ferreira. Who you got and why?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie. I don't know anything about Werdum's opponent. I still think Werdum has something left in the tank to offer or something. So I'm picking Werdum. I mean, I just want to say that, man, Werdum trains at a good camp. He comes out of King's MMA as well. So I just think Werdum's going to take it, most likely submission. But I mean, there was a time where like he was trying to head kick people a lot. So, but I still think Werdum takes it.
I think if he tries to head kick this guy, he's going to lose. Renan Ferreira, 6-2. One of his losses was actually a DQ for illegal strikes against Brett Martin in LFA. Before that, he lost in 2016 via submission. So if there's a chink in his armor, it's the submission game, which Werdum does better than any heavyweight alive. But he is a Team Nogueira guy. So if you're a Team Nogueira guy, you know his submission game is at least on some kind of par training with the Nogueira brothers. So both guys are Brazilian. Both guys are probably going to bring it. Werdum, he beat Gustafsson in his last UFC fight, but lost 2 before that to Oleinik and Volkov. He's been up and down over the years. He's 43 years old, same age as me, ironically. But he has a lot left in the tank than I do. But I'll pick Werdum because I think if it goes to the ground, or if Verdum's getting beat on the striking, I think he'll take it to the ground, maybe pull guard or something like that, and maybe catch the more inexperienced fighter because he's 6-2. He doesn't have a lot of experience, but he is 31, so he's probably been doing this for a little while. He's 6'8", 260. He's a big guy. So he's bigger than Werdum, but I pick Werdum just because I think his experience will carry him in this fight. In the co-main event, we're talking about Kayla Harrison making her season debut against Mariana Reyes. I'll go ahead and start on this one. I don't think there's any doubt. I think Kayla's going to roll through this one. Reyes is a little tougher than people know. She's got 26 fights for only being 26 years old. She's 16-10, but when you've lost that many fights as well, I think you're going against somebody with the pedigree of Kayla Harrison. I don't think that she's going to really stand a chance. What do you think?
I agree with you. I got Kayla Harrison to win this fight. I don't see any. There's only 2 people who I see giving her trouble in this tournament, and they're both fighting each other. You already mentioned them earlier today. It's actually the fight that I'm looking forward to the most, and that's the Caitlin Young's versus Cindy Dandonis fight. The reason being is because I think Dandonis can give her trouble on the ground, while Caitlin Young can give her trouble standing up. So I think those are the 2 women that she has to worry about. Everybody else, I think she'll just roll right through.
Yeah, I think Harrison's just an elite level, and she showed it when she stepped outside, went to Invicta. She showed it when she's knocked people out. She's not just submitting them. So I think she's at an elite level. I think she's far and away, and I'm probably gonna get a lot of heat for saying this, coming from another judo person. I think she's far and away above where Ronda was at the same point in her career. Ronda obviously got in the title picture a lot faster going into the Strikeforce and UFC, and she talked her way into a fight with Miesha Tate, famously in Strikeforce, and it moved her way up quick. But Kayla, I think, is just on a skill level. I think she's far and away above where Ronda was at the same age and the same level. So, same amount of fights and everything like that. I think Kayla's got a really bright future, and I can't wait to see what she does against somebody like Carissa Shields, who has world-class striking, once Carissa gets her legs under her and gets a few MMA fights. I'm looking forward to that matchup. And I hope one day that Kayla, before it's too late and Cyborg walks off in the sunset, I hope they can set up that fight. I'd like to see Kayla versus Cyborg. I think that's a fun fight too. But I also wouldn't be surprised one day to see Kayla in the UFC fighting Amanda Nunes. So I think it's Kayla's future, whatever she wants to do. Real quick on that, any thoughts on Usman's little brother, big brother, little big brother?
I say Usman, man. Usman all day, man. I mean, I've seen him in a couple of Titan fights, man. Dude looks good. He looks legit. I mean, hey, I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see another Nigerian champion at the end of this year.
Well, in fairness, I mean, Brandon Sales might be 5-1, but he hasn't fought in almost 3 years. He's 40 years old. He's being set up. He had a good record. It looks good on piece of paper, but he's being set up for the younger, hungrier Usman. And then you want to talk about that Caitlin fight? You think who wins between her and Dandos?
I mean, I like them both. Like I said, I've been a fan of Caitlin Young.
They're both very experienced.
Yeah, I say I've been a fan of both. I've been a fan of both ladies, but I'm going with Cindy Dandonis just because I don't think Caitlin Young has anything for her on the ground. So my thing is like, as long as Cindy can get it to the ground, it should be lights out. But the only problem is getting it there because, like I said, Caitlin Young, she's a pro kickboxer as well. She has the striking background. So that's the only thing. But either way, it should be a good one. It should be a good one for the fans.
All right, Brandon, let's move on to some Bellator action. Bellator's back in action this weekend on Friday. Bellator 258, 9 p.m. on Showtime for the main card. Woo, that was a lot. I almost ran out of breath. 9 p.m. for the main card. Main event, Juan Archuleta, Sergio Pettis. Been looking forward to this one for a while. I think Juan Archuleta's just got too much for Sergio. I'm looking forward to Archuleta winning this fight and maybe going on to fight Magomedov. But not to get ahead of ourselves, who you got in this fight?
So I'm not gonna lie, like I was really bigging up Sergio Pettis, but I just finished watching the series Kingdom, like this whole, like all the last month, just banged out on Netflix. Who's in that show? Juan Archuleta. He was by the gym, so I'm gonna pick my man Juan.
You fanboying.
Exactly, yeah. I'm gonna pick him, man, just because I saw him on Kingdom. But no, I agree with you. I think he's just gonna be too much for Sergio. Because plus two, in my mind, I still see Sergio Pettis as a flyweight. I don't think he's a 135er. I think he's really a 125er. But he just don't want to cut the weight. So I think Archuleta is going to be too big for him. He's going to be too much for him.
Yeah, I just don't think a lot of people know enough about Juan Archuleta. They know Sergio from his UFC time, but Juan Archuleta, his only loss was to Patricio, and that was him going up to I think 145. So, I mean, he lost one other fight, but you have to go all the way back to 2015 for that one. And that was in World Series of Fighting. That tells you how long ago that was. So Juan Archuleta is really good, really sound in a lot of different ways. He's going to try to knock you out. I think he only has one submission victory, but he can also grind it out with you for a decision win too. So I like Juan Archuleta.
That's what happens when you train with Albi Kalina, from Navy Street. Of course you got to pick Juan.
Currently, the co-main event, they're talking about maybe moving Michael Page in the current co-main event. But right now, it's listed as Rumble versus Avocado. Yeah, Brandon, is there any doubt Rumble runs through this one?
I say Rumble all day. He should be the pick.
Unless he has cage rust, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my pick is Rumble on this one. Do you want real quick for just for pick's sake, maybe to get you an extra pick to get your number back to me?
Sure, you want to?
You want to pick the Michael Page, Derek Anderson, just in case they become co-main?
Yeah, I mean, I picked Derek Anderson the first time these two were supposed to fight, and it didn't happen. I'm going to pick Derek Anderson again. I think Derek Anderson is the better fighter. He can do it standing, and he can do it on the ground. I think Derek Anderson is gonna be Michael Venom Page if this fight does happen.
I'm picking Michael Page, and I'm picking him just because of that last fight against Houston. He showed his defense. A lot, like he doesn't have a ground game. He's not going to submit you, but he showed his defense on the ground. And if he gets taken down, I don't think he's scared. And that's something nobody really has ever seen from him. Houston never posed a threat against him, but it was one of those things that when he got taken down and his takedown defense, and when he did get taken down, he was very capable of defending himself. So I do think, and Derek Anderson's obviously more of a striker as well. I definitely think Venom Page MVP is going to take this one. So. Also on this card, we talked about it earlier. Lorenzo Larkin's fighting. You got Patricky Pitbull fighting against Peter Queally. Patrick Mix against Albert Morales now. Logan Storley's on this card. So they got some Weber Almeida, which is Lyoto Machida's protege. He just got that new contract. He's 5-0. He just got that contract in January. So let's see what he's got against Johnny Soto. Bellator is looking pretty strong this Friday night. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they got going on. Obviously, the main card is going to be on Showtime, but I think you can still watch some of the fights for free on CBS or YouTube, I believe.
Yep. Prelims are always on their YouTube.
So check it out. The prelims are actually pretty awesome along with the main card. So check that out. All right, Brandon, you ready to wrap this up and talk about some UFC?
Yes, sir.
Main event. We were all looking forward to Dillashaw versus the Sandman. Didn't happen. TJ, I believe, got hurt. Cut his eye or something like that. So they're going to try to reschedule that one pretty soon, but I don't think we have a date yet. New main event, Marina Rodriguez versus Michelle Waterson. Who you got and why?
Michelle Waterson, always picking the karate hottie. Always got to go with her. That's what I'm picking. I just think, she can do it all. She can strike. She can go on the ground. Just sometimes, man, like her things, like she's always there at the cusp of getting a title shot. But then she just ends up short. But I just think she's hungry. I think she's gonna just step her game up and take care of business.
This is gonna hurt my soul because I'm such a big Michelle Waterson fan. She's one of the people with a big name that took her time out to do an interview with me when I first, when Art of MMA went on a little bit of a couple-year hiatus when Eric Johnson left for a while and I wasn't really paying attention to it. When I started getting back into Art of MMA and doing interviews again, Michelle Waterson was one of the first people I interviewed. It was right after her fight with Jessica Penny and Invicta, right before she made her UFC debut. And she took her time. She had her name from MTV. She had her name from Invicta, but she still took her time and did her written interview with me. So I'm always thankful, and I've always been such a fan of the way she fights. But I got to say, Marina Rodriguez looked incredible against Amanda Ribas. That TKO she had in the second round with, she just, for as high as people were on Ribas, who's also in this card, by the way, as high as people were on Ribas, she was the dominant fighter in that fight. She only lost to Carla, which isn't she lost a split decision to Carla Esparza. She has a couple draws to people like Randa Marcos and Cavilla. But other than that, she hasn't lost. She beat Jessie Aguilar. She beat Tisha Torres. She's won some very tough fights. So, and she's also the more lanky fighter. She's going to give Waterson trouble with her length. She's 5'7" to Waterson's 5'3". And Waterson likes to get in. She can throw those kicks, obviously, but she likes to get in and kind of make it dirty. And I don't think she can do that against Rodriguez. So my pick is Rodriguez on that fight. Co-main, Cowboy Cerrone fighting Alex Morano. I don't see how Cowboy doesn't win this fight. He's my pick on this fight. Alex Morano stepping in on short notice. Who you got?
I got Cowboy, man. I always ride with Cowboy. Alex Moreno, man, he's a tough guy. I tell you that one. Kudos for him for stepping up on short notice against Cowboy. Just hopefully, man, Cowboy just comes in, brings it, does his thing.
Yeah, Cowboys should be in pretty good shape. He was really pumped up to fight Diego, so I think he's going to be really geared up, even though the opponent changed. I think he's ready to kind of like make sure restamp his name. So there's a bunch of other great fights. Who's your pick on this fight card? Who do you want to talk about?
And you know me, I got to be the homer. Got to pick my teammate, my boy Mike Trizano, the lone wolf, back in there, man. Speeding time for the wolf. He's going to get this W. I'm saying he had a good camp. I've been watching him train and everything like that. Been around him this whole time. He's looking sharp. I think he's going to get the job done, man. He's hungry for a win.
Trizano's 8-1, and he has looked good. He lost his last fight. It was his first loss of his career, so it's interesting to see how he'll bounce back. Obviously, he's a Tiger Schulman's product, so, Brandon's going to be the homer. I will say, though, I'm actually picking Klein in this one because Klein looked awesome in his debut in September when he fought Shane Young. That head kick was vicious. I didn't know much about Klein. I had to look it up, and on YouTube that fight came up, and I was like, oh, yeah, I remember this fight. I just didn't put the names together because he's only got one UFC fight.
Yeah.
But he's
hopefully,
17.
I'm about to say, hopefully this time he doesn't miss weight,
Yeah, that's a big deal as well. We'll see this weekend. But that was a catchweight fight. They did it at 150, so they both agreed to it. So I don't know if it was a case of missing weight or as much as they agreed to it, because it was a catchweight. They both weighed 150. So my pick of the night, I really went back and forth. There's so many great fights on this. Neil Magny versus Jeff Neal, Mo Green versus Rogério de Lima, Diego Ferreira and Gregor Gillespie, but Rothwell versus Linz. Your boy Phil Halls is fighting against Kyle Dawkins. That could have been a pick of the fight. But I'm actually going to stick to the ladies. I'm going to steal your thunder this time. I'm going to become king of the ladies. Don't tell my wife. Angela Hill and Amanda Ribas is going to be a fun fight. I think it's going to go the distance. I think Angela Hill's going to get the win. I don't think I know Rodriguez got Ribas out of there, but she's a tough out. She's going to grapple you. She's going to tough it out. It kind of reminds me of when Angela Hill fought Michelle Waterson not too long ago. I see it kind of being a similar fight, but I think Angela Hill's gotten better and continues to learn and grow as she goes on in her career. and she looked so fantastic in her last fight. I think Angela Hill's going to get the win. She's my pick in this one. What do you think of that fight?
Hey man, I dig it. I like it. I'm always down with Angela Hill. I agree with you, man. I mean, I see a finish happening. Yeah, I could from Angela Hill getting the job done, because I mean we have seen Reyes stop. You know, she was stopped her last fight. So I mean, it's not out of the possibility that Angela Hill, you know, she can't stop her, but most likely it could go decision. But I agree with you. Angela Hill probably will get the W.
Yeah, the only thing is I think Angela is susceptible to submissions. I remember Marcos got her with the armbar. Reyes is going to try to probably get it to the ground. So as long as it stays standing, though, I think it's all Angela Hill if she uses her range and her reach. Anything else you want to talk about on that fight card?
All right, just hey, everybody, just watch, just catch it on ESPN.
Yeah, free card is going to start on ESPN Plus for the preliminaries. Then they move over, I believe, at 8:00 for on ESPN. 8:00 on ESPN for the main card. So make sure you're paying attention. Brandon, anything else you want to talk about this week?
I mean, don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, comment. Also, too, don't forget, remember, this is our last Tuesday. Next week, we'll be here on a Wednesday.
Yeah, don't be DMing me and atting me on Tuesday. But like, Mike, where's the show? Why are you dragging? I love my boy Tommy Toho, but this is not Tommy Toho show. We stay on schedule. We're going to be back on Wednesday next week. Brandon wanted to move it to Wednesday this week. However, it's Cinco de Mayo, and I'm going to be drunk. So I'm just being honest. I'm going to be honest with you. I was head bartender at a Mexican restaurant for a while. And even though I know it's not a real holiday, like it's just an excuse to get drunk. It's not Mexican Independence Day. It's not any of that. It's just a battle of Pueblo. But it is the 5th of May, and it sounds like a good day to go out and have some tacos and some tequila. So me and my wife are going to enjoy it. I hope you guys have some fun too. For Brandon and myself, this has been another episode in the books. We got 30 on Tuesday. We're going to do our first one on Wednesday next week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, tell a friend, tell the world, share everything. Promo code GigaTime, save 20%, support the show, Art of MMA. You know what? I think I'm going to start wearing I never wear it on the show, Brandon. I think I'm going to wear the Legends one in the next couple weeks.
Okay.
I put an order in for one, and I haven't had it yet, but if it comes in time, I think I'm going to wear probably the Royce or the Bruce Lee one next couple weeks. Start mixing it up a little bit. Maybe get people more excited about buying this gear. Come on, people, support the show. That's my pandering for the episode. But for Brandon, anything else you want to add before we dip out?
No, man, that's it. Always a pleasure hanging with you.
Well, I'll let Brandon get to training some of the next elite fighters over at Tiger. For Brandon and myself, this is Art of MMA. We're out.
Oh my God. This is good shit. I know. I like it. Wow.